This is an important opportunity for us. For over 120 years, with the best of intentions, governments have done things for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, not with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. And the voice is just a means to an end. It is how we listen to First Nations people in order to close the gap on education, on health, on life expectancy, on incarceration rates, on economic opportunity. And we know from our experience that where we consult with Indigenous Australians, you get better outcomes. We see that with the Indigenous Rangers program. We see that with community health programs. We see that with justice reinvestment. Common sense tells you that if you're working with people, you will get better outcomes than if you are imposing solutions. So nothing can be further from the truth than that this is about a Canberra voice. This is a voice to Canberra from Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, showing them respect. But it's also for non-Indigenous Australians about how we see ourselves. Whether we're a confident, forward-looking nation that can advance reconciliation, whether we have the confidence to acknowledge the fullness of our history and our past and come to terms with it, and whether we can walk forward together. So this constitutional change is about just two things, and two things only. First, it's about recognising Indigenous Australians in our Constitution. And secondly, it's about the fact that Indigenous Australians should be consulted about matters that affect them. That is what this is about. And that's why I'm very confident that Australians, when given the opportunity, which they will have sometime between October and December this year, will vote yes. That's why I'm pleased that every single state and territory leader is supporting a yes campaign as well. And I do want to take the opportunity to acknowledge publicly Dominic Perrottet, the former Premier of New South Wales, for his support for this as well. This is a campaign that should be above politics because it's about justice, it's about doing the right thing, it's about advancing reconciliation. And that's why we're seeing such momentum. We're seeing momentum from employers and from trade unions. We're seeing momentum from faith groups. We're seeing momentum from non-government organisations. We're seeing momentum from local government organisations. We're seeing momentum from sporting organisations and community clubs, and we'll see that continue into the future. This is a gracious, generous offer from First Nations people. This is just a handout, asking in that great Australian way, when you meet each other, we put our hand out as a gesture to shake hands, to come together as an acknowledgement. And that's what this is from First Nations people. And we should have the fortitude and the grace to embrace the opportunity which we have to go forward. Pat, I think that you are doing Australia a great service once again. You are showing your ongoing commitment to our great country. This is about the day after the referendum being held, waking up to a more united Australia, waking up to an Australia that's come to terms with its past, waking up to an Australia that's more reconciled and is able to go forward in that moment of national unity. And I thank you for your leadership. I thank you for everything you're doing to support this cause and to inspire Australians to vote yes to a better future, a more reconciled future between Indigenous and non-Indigenous Australia.
Thank you very much. And now finally, our final speaker is not only the speaker but the runner for the next 6 months. So please join me in welcoming Pat Farmer to give us an address. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, first and foremost, I want to acknowledge the traditional owners of this land, in particular here in Hobart, the Palawa people. I'd like to thank Rodney Dillon for his welcome to country, and I look forward to many, many welcomes as I travel around this incredible nation. All of you are here today because you are, like me, very proud Australians. You want to play a role in Australia's life and Australia's history. We've heard from some of the most eloquent speakers in this country. I can't possibly match the words of the Prime Minister. I can't possibly match the words of Linda Burney, Anna Reynolds. Can't possibly match the words of Jeremy Radcliffe, our Premier. But I will say this, I'm honoured that they have taken the time to be here today to represent all of you, the people of Australia, in this quest that I have taken on. I can say this also, that whilst I can't match their words, I'm hoping that my footsteps and my actions will. I'm hoping that my footsteps and my actions will, and that's why I'm not just running up the road, that's why I'm running around this whole nation. A run that is getting bigger by the moment. I only just heard yesterday that it may include the TV Islands and Thursday Island as well, to make sure that we are truly inclusive. I'm up for the challenge. What I want to know is, are all of you up for the challenge? I'm inviting Australians to run with me a step, a kilometre, a metre, 500 metres, 5 kilometres, whatever you can do, but I want you to turn these words, these eloquent words that we've all heard this morning, into actions. I want you to show not only Australians, but indeed show the world that Australians are mature enough to reflect on the last couple of 100 years of our history, to learn from the mistakes of our past, and to move on into the future as one nation, one people. One nation, one people. This is not a divisive exercise, this is an exercise of unity. My footsteps are the thread that will weave together this magic tapestry that will take us on into the future. To all of you, to the little athletics, kids that are there, to the jack jumpers, to the sporting clubs that are here to support me and run with me this morning, and to the ordinary average Australians that didn't think that they counted for very much, I want to say to you, Prime Minister, and to you, Minister Linda Burney, thank you for giving us ordinary Australians the opportunity to have a say in this referendum, to be able to speak our voice, and it's thrown open to the Australian people now. So the media have asked me from time to time about my thoughts on this whole situation, and what I've simply said is, we are honoured and lucky to live in a country where the Australian people get to say and get a say in something as significant as this. This will be a part of history, and I, along with all of you, are so very happy and proud that we're playing our role. Finally, I just want to say a big thank you to my wife Tanya, who is with me on the road, to my children, Brooke and in particular, and my children Brooke and Dylan, in particular Brooke, my daughter, who had the idea for me to do this in the first place. My daughter said to me, "Dad, you ran around Australia for the celebration of the nation, the centenary of Federation. Why don't you do a run? Why don't you do a run for the voice?" It seems to me, every person under the age of 30, that this is an absolute no-brainer, and they can't understand why we're even having a referendum on the issue, that it should just naturally be in place already. But it's not. And so it's up to us, their parents, and their grandparents, and their great-grandparents, to show our maturity on this issue as well, to learn from our kids as we do, to learn from our own children, and to make the right decisions. My father said to me a long time ago, he said, "Pat, the most precious commodity on this earth is time. And so I want to thank all our dignitaries for being here this morning, and all of you in front of me for being here this morning, for giving me your time to show your support for my quest and for the quest of the Indigenous people of this country to have a better future, to have a better life, and to have a voice. Thank you and God bless you.